When I propose the following idea to people face to face, I have never faced any counter-arguments that are valid. But when I propose this online, people freak out and never seem to agree. So I'm going to throw the question out to you guys now to see what you guys think. I'm a firm believer that as secular or atheist humanists, we need to unite together and create a strong group that represents our interests within our countries, within our cities, and hopefully one day across the world. First of all, the first and most important reason why we need to do this is because when people convert out of their religion, be it Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, whatever, they need a safety net in which to fall into. When I converted from Catholicism to secular or atheist humanism, I didn't know where to turn. I had no one to go to. I couldn't go to the local church. There wasn't a pastor that I could see. Like, I was literally on my own, and this was the most discouraging and depressing part of my conversion. And it seemed to me like, well, this is a massive hole that we need to fill in, especially for the young people who are increasingly becoming secular humanists. They need to know that there's a group out there that supports them. I actually knew a Christian guy that I worked with. He used to live in Miami, Florida, and to make a long story short, he was running a business, but he was living there illegally. He's a Canadian citizen, but living in the US. He didn't have a visa or whatever. And finally, when he came back into Canada, they caught him, and they basically told him he could never go back to the USA. He lost his job, he lost his wife, he lost his house, he lost his car, he lost absolutely everything. And they literally kicked him out of the border crossing and told him, walk north, do not come back to the United States. And as he was walking on the side of the road, a bus stops on the side of the road, opens the door, picks him up, and it's a group of Christians, and they had one open seat at the front of the bus, and they said, we've been waiting for you, we had this seat open for you. And guess what happened? Bang! Converted to Christianity, just like that, hardcore. I'm not saying that that's how we should go out and fish new people, but I'm just saying that that Christian support group is there to receive people in need. This is what we should be looking to do. But of course, there are more reasons than just that. I would say, perhaps on a global scale, the most important reason we need to form a unified group is because religion historically has counteracted or has acted as a rallying point against corrupt governments. Examples are plentiful here, and I'm not going to take, 15 minutes to discuss it. But like, I'm thinking of the Iranian Revolution in '79, where basically they had a dictator that was not working in their interests, so politicians were not working for them, so they all united under Islam and basically kicked that sucker out. Right now, like in the world that we're in right now, I'm looking at Pope Francis, who since the beginning, since he's been in power as the Pope, has done nothing but criticize corrupt governments, greedy businesses. He's been preaching about how to save the earth and the whole bit. Why do we need this religious founder to preach against governments? Well, because governments don't always work for us. And, religious groups or idea-based groups, that's kind of their purpose, is to counteract that. So we don't have that right now, and if we never form a humanist or secular atheist group, then we never will be able to counteract the machine that is governments. It's very clear, based on political lobbying and money that is found in politics, that politicians do not work for us. We cannot trust them to make rules that are moral, that work for humanity as a whole, that work for the survival of our children, that work for the preservation of the earth, things that I believe are at the absolute base of, human needs, all human needs. Doesn't matter who you are, this is very important, okay? The idea here is that political action, it's great, and if we could form a group that is under the auspices of a religion, well, we could be tax exempt. And if atheist humanism or secular humanism would be seen as a religion, then imagine the force that we could have. There's an old French saying that says, l'union fait la force, or union creates the force. Well, that's what it is. We need to unify, and what is speech in our world? What is force in our world? It's money. We could become tax exempt. We could there's a lot of atheist humanists or secular humanists with some big time money, and we could make a big impact on the political scene if we could use that money to create laws that would be in our interests. Now, of course, one of the huge counter-arguments against creating a unified secular or atheist humanism is that, like any type of religion, it's going to go like off the cuff on its dogma. But I don't think that's the case at all, and we just need to create this group based on a set of rules that disallows that. And I think the foundation for what, good, solid rules would be for an atheist humanist groups were said best by Neil deGrasse Tyson in the last episode of season 1 of Cosmos. It's basically the rules of science. Our entire religious group should be founded on this, and here it is. There are 5 of them. Number 1, question authority. So no idea is true just because someone says so, including me, including the guy who's in charge of our atheist or secular humanist group. Everything should be questioned. We need to think for ourselves. So we need to question ourselves as atheist humanists and question ourselves as individuals as well. Don't believe anything just because you want to. Believing something doesn't make it so. Rule number 3, we need to test ideas by the evidence gained from observation and experiment. So if a favorite idea fails a well-designed test, it's wrong. We need to get over it. If we would found our religious group on certain ideas and we find out later that they're wrong, just change them. Just change them. It's that simple. Follow the evidence wherever it leads. When we see that the earth is being overpolluted, and as humanists we're like, maybe the lives of our children are at risk here. Well, we need to follow the evidence and stop polluting and block anybody who makes a profit through pollution. The last one, and probably the most important one, is remember you could be wrong. Even the best scientists and the best thinkers in the world have been wrong. Newton, Einstein, everybody has been wrong. I could be wrong. We're human. To me, if we really need a foundational doctrine on top of those 5 rules, I would say that the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights is basically the best document we could use as our kind of Leviticus, if you will. Leviticus has rules from 3,000-4,000 years ago that are basically outdated by this point. Well, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights is about 50 years old, and to me, it still stands perfectly solid. Why don't we use this to unify atheist, secular humanists across the world? It will help the youth, it will help the adults, it will help our children, it will help our world.